Hello, hello, Savvy community. Today is Tuesday. It's noon here in the Central Time Zone. That means it's time for TBS to go live across our channels for our weekly live. And I'm super honored and privileged to be here with you today. And as you can see on my screen, we're going to talk all about imposter syndrome. But before we get started, just a couple of items of business. Can you let me know in the comments that you can hear and see me okay? I want to make sure that all the tech is working on the delivery side. And then I want you to give StreamYard permission so that I can see who's with me today. There should be a link at the top of the description. Just use that link to give StreamYard permission to share your name and your face with me so I can see who's joining with me today. So before we get started, and as people are starting to join, I know that it's just the top of the hour, so we are going to jump in here in just a few quick seconds. But before we do, I want to ask you a question. I want to know, what is something that you have learned this week that you didn't know before? What is one thing that you have learned this week that you didn't know before? I want to celebrate that with you. I want to hear what you've learned. I hope that you are always looking to learn new things, to practice new things, to try new things and flex that muscle of learning. I hope that you never stop. And in this entrepreneurial world, online space that we live in, there's always constantly new things to try and learn. So let me know, what have you learned this week that you didn't already know? I'll go first, okay? Have you seen all the buzz about AI, ChatGPT, Jasper's a new platform? Well, not real new, but it's out there, right? So I got on this weekend actually, and I tested the thing out, and it was so much fun. I had tested it out previously, but just kind of dabbled in it. But then I really jumped in, was asking questions and prompting the thing to spit it all out at me. And it was so much fun. I kind of got trapped in it, but that was something that I'd never done before. I knew of it, but never tried it for myself. So tell me something that you have learned this week. Chachi says, I've learned that I tend to overcorrect when it comes to self-improvement. The goal is to find a happy medium. Oh, that's so good, Chachi. And here, Facebook user, I would love to know your name and face, so you can use the link to give StreamYard permission. I'm learning ClickUp and trying to implement it with my team. Hi, Karis, I see your name after I finish reading it. Awesome. ClickUp is a fabulous platform to use. So if you're just joining us, we are talking about what we've learned this week that we are proud of, something that we didn't already know before. So let me know in the comments, and I will read through those and look at those as well during our chat and then later on as well. Okay, so imposter syndrome. Y'all, this is something legit. It's real. I have to work through it all the time, and it's something that's going to constantly come up inside of our lives in general, whether or not we're business owners. It can happen inside of our regular 9-to-5. It can happen in our personal life as a friend or as a spouse or a partner. It can happen in all areas of our life. How many of you have experienced imposter syndrome before? Tell me in the comments. And if you don't say me, you're probably a liar, and there's that. So how many of you have experienced imposter syndrome before? We're going to define it in a minute. Hold on just a second. Yes, all of us are together. We are not alone, all right? And just like Chachi says, we still do, right? I would still experience, believe it or not, before sometimes I come on and go live with you, I question myself. I question my validity. I question my experience, my expertise. We all have to battle through that. So let's talk about first, before we talk about fighting it, and I want to give you some real strategies, some practical strategies to be able to work through that imposter syndrome. Let's kind of talk about it. What is it? What causes it? And then, like I just said, we're going to walk through some strategies. Whether you're listening to me today or you're watching me, I would encourage you to give yourself some space to really focus in, interact with me. I love interaction in the comments. Ask me questions, comment, all of those things. I really appreciate that and enjoy it as I'm live with you. So let's dive in. Imposter syndrome. If you could define imposter syndrome, what would you say? Give me a quick synopsis, a quick definition of what you think imposter syndrome means or looks like. I would love to hear. That helps me kind of know who my audience is, where your thoughts are, all of those things. So, and there's no wrong answer, y'all. Like, please interact with me. All right. What is imposter syndrome? Love this, Kayla. I don't belong. Absolutely. That's part of imposter syndrome. Okay. Phoenix says being fake, pretending you're okay when you're not. Oh, that was a huge part of growing up for me. Like, I can totally remember like pretending to be something that I wasn't, and that is something different. But yes. Okay. So we also have, I'm not good enough because I don't have experience. Not feeling adequate or up to the task, appearing excited to be excited and happy all the time on social, or you feel like you're not doing good enough. Oh, this is a good one. Portraying an image that you think you are, but may not be that image to others. Doubting your gut intuition. Y'all, these are golden definitions. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I love that you are participating and defining for me as well. Holding the flashlight, but not stepping into the light due to thinking your shadow will overthrow your worth. Facebook user, brilliant. Let's read this again. Holding the flashlight, but not stepping into the light due to thinking your shadow will overthrow your worth. That's gold. Love it. Thinking and accepting that you can't do it. Feeling incapable. Oh, these are so good. I could just spend time reading all these. Y'all hit it on the head. It's feelings of inadequacy. It's feelings of doubt. It's feelings of not acknowledging who we are and what we've accomplished and what we've done. There's also kind of fear that's attached to it, like fear of getting found out, like fear of somebody finding out, oh, I'm not advanced at ClickUp. I'm just a beginner, right? Like that fear of getting found out that I'm not really who I am. But really, when we dig down into the depths of that, we are who we say that we are, unless we're trying to put on a show, unless we're purposely trying to pretend. That's something different. All right. That's a different topic for another day. We're talking about those feelings of stepping forward and feeling as if we are an imposter because we don't embrace who we are and what we've accomplished. Fear of failure. Absolutely. I totally agree, Chachi. Our audience knows and is vulnerable, and I love it. Y'all, when you show up to these lives and participate and are willing to share and connect to what we talk about, that is time worth spent. Okay, even if you're passively listening, maybe you're writing notes or something along that line, if you are actively paying attention and participating, you can get the most out of our time together. All right, so we've defined imposter syndrome, right? That feeling of inadequacy, that maybe feeling of fear of being found out. Ooh, I'm using air quotes, that's dangerous. Being found out of what we truly are, okay? Although it may be a lie, I want to make sure that you understand that, okay? And also something very important, the doubt that we hold on to of who we are and what we've accomplished. Absolutely, Jennifer, the feeling that you are not good enough. Let's pause and let's do some self-affirmation. You are absolutely enough. You are good at what you do. You have accomplished great things. I want you to tell me in the comments. I want you to tell me, I have accomplished this, fill in the blank. I have learned this, fill in the blank. I am good at this, fill in the blank. Everybody watching, I want you to comment in the comments. Tell me and do some personal affirmation. You are unique. You have gifts, talents, and abilities that nobody else has. Mine are different from Chachi's. Mine are different from Jennifer's. Jennifer's are different from Shakira's. All of the things, all of the people in my comments, we're all different and unique from each other. Jennifer says, I am good at video editing. High five, Jennifer, because I am not, right? Own what you are good at. I have accomplished launching my website. That's amazing. That is something to be celebrated, right? You are not an imposter for doing that. I have learned how to make a planner and couponing. I'm good at it. Girl, good at saving money. Teach me the ways, right? You are good at things. You have unique gifts, talents, and abilities that nobody else has. Crystal, after just a few conversations, has landed her first client. That's amazing. You are a virtual assistant. I read a book. You probably have heard of it. It's on my shelf. Where is it? It's right there. That gold lettering. See that? Atomic Habits. One of the things that I learned from reading that book is claiming the identity that I want. Something near and dear to my heart is running. I love running. I miss running. I don't run as often as I used to, right? But claiming I am a runner is one of the first steps in becoming a good runner. I am a virtual assistant. Claiming that identity is one of the first steps in walking into that identity. You've heard us say it over and over again. Like, one of the first things that you can do before you maybe even launch your business is to tell somebody that that's what you're going to do and that's what you're going to be. Naming and claiming who you are is one of the first steps in overcoming that imposter syndrome. Oh, awesome. Thanks for dropping the book link in the comments. An amazing book. I've read it twice. I was just telling my mom the other day, I think I need to read it a third time. So good. Yeah, it's not an affiliate link. Chachi, thanks for dropping that in the comments. Okay, so we've defined it. Let's talk about the causes. What brings up that imposter syndrome? And I really want you to get real personal, and I want you to think about your scenarios. I want you to think of when those negative thoughts, because it is negative thought thinking, okay, when do those negative thoughts of imposter syndrome come up for you? Is it in a particular situation? Is it when you're around particular people? Is it when you're working on a particular task? I want you to think about it. Tell me in the comments. Tell me in the comments, when do you see imposter syndrome sneaking up for you? There's several different causes, okay, that can bring about imposter syndrome. One can be the environment, right? Maybe you work, those of you that are still in your 9 to 5, maybe you work in a really high competitive environment. That can often bring up imposter syndrome, okay? A little bit of comparison involved in that as well. Okay? Maybe it's an environment where you have really high expectations and those feelings of doubt come up for you of, I will never be able to achieve that. I will never be able to be as good at that as that person, fill in the blank, right? Your environment in which you are in or put yourself in can cause that imposter syndrome to come up. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't or shouldn't be in that environment. It's just knowing and being aware for you when those thoughts come up for you. Now, it could also be the exact opposite when you have complete freedom, right? And you're not necessarily in a competitive environment. You don't really have a lot of high expectations. You're kind of maybe siloed in what you do or who you interact with, things like that. That can also cause a level of imposter syndrome for you to come up as well. So keep talking. Oh, I love all these. Max says, when I compare myself to others, they always seem to have it all figured out. What's so important to remember, Mac, and for all of us here, is we don't know what we don't know. Okay. I will often get trapped in that imposter syndrome, that comparison, when I'm looking at what I see of others. specifically on social media. It's so easy to get trapped in that. Well, I will never speak as good as them. I will never be able to create a product like them. I will never be able to hold that position like them, right? So easy in that kind of arena, in that kind of environment, for me to get trapped inside of that imposter syndrome. Okay, so not only do we need to understand what imposter syndrome is, we need to know what causes that to come up for ourselves. Have you answered that yet? Have you figured that out? Do you know? When does imposter syndrome come up for you? And be very aware and be very careful about that comparison. Because in those scenarios where you can compare yourself to others, it can very easily sneak up. And that's when we're going to talk about some specific strategies that you can use to fight against that imposter syndrome. Now, some other things that I want to point out could be causes. It could even be upbringing. We're not going to dive into this real specifically, but I do want you to be aware that sometimes your specific upbringing can cause imposter syndrome to come up more often than not for you. And that doesn't mean that you have to blame somebody or anything like that. You just need to be aware, right? That's what we're talking about inside of this. The causes of imposter syndrome is just being aware when that comes up for you. It can also be your personality, right? Like different variations or parts of who you are, you're making, can also cause imposter syndrome to come up more than often for you than others. Again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. We're not going to live in the negative. We're not going to pass blame, okay? But we're just being aware of when those come up for you. Great comment. It comes up when I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, when I'm trying something new. That's so good. And so often when you do that and you step out of your comfort zone and you try something new, and those feelings, that self-doubt, that imposter syndrome sneaks up, if you don't know how to fight through it and combat it, you are liable, what's the word I want? Oh, what's the word I want? It's not in my brain. It's not coming. You are less likely, okay, to potentially try that again. And that's not what I want for you. I want you to be able to have these strategies in place to be able to fight against the imposter syndrome. You are good at what you do. I think Chachi and Katie even went a step further last week in our live and said, you are an expert. You have unique gifts, talents, and abilities that nobody else holds on to. Do you accomplish similar things? Absolutely. Are we all kind of sharing that commonality of being in this virtual space and being online service providers, virtual assistants? Absolutely. But we all do it with our own flavor, right? Our own personality. And that's so important to remember. Okay. Yes, say it with us, Katie says. I am an expert. Tell me in the comments. Tell me in the comments. I am an expert. If you want to even get more specific, I would love to know how you claim your expertise. I am an expert in blank. I am an expert at blank. Tell me. I would love to know. Okay, so let's jump in. And let's look at some specific ways to fight against imposter syndrome. We've talked about what it is, and y'all helped me define it better than my notes did. Okay, we talked about the causes, ways that can come up for you, but let's get into the real nitty-gritty and let's talk how to combat against it. I am an expert in podcast management. I am an expert. I'm an expert in systems creation. I am a visionary. I am an expert travel planner. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. So important. Priscilla says, I am an expert at customer service and adapt at interfacing with people of all ages across a variety of backgrounds. And that's a gift. All of these that you are listing are gifts, talents, and abilities that are absolutely amazing. All right, are you with me? Tell me you're ready in the comments. Let's talk about some specific strategies and ways that we can combat against the imposter syndrome. I'm ready. I'm ready to share. Okay, I'm going to give you three. I'm going to give you three specific areas, steps, you name it, whatever you want to, all right? But three specific ways that you can combat against imposter syndrome. And we're going to look at some specifics under each one of them, all right? So let's talk about the first one. The first one is going to be identify your strengths. And sneak peek, we've already kind of done that, right, in our comments. But you can take that a step further. If you've never done an exercise like this, I would strongly encourage you to do that. Okay, Phoenix is going to accept the challenge. Let's go. All right, so you're going to identify your strengths and your accomplishments. This is actually something that we do inside of our Savvy Circle program. That's our group coaching program for those who are looking to scale their businesses. They already have established businesses. But one of the first things that we do inside of the course for Savvy Circle is we have our members identify their strengths and the accomplishments that they've had so far in their life and inside of their business. If you've never done such an exercise, I would challenge you to do that. And I would even take it one step further, and I would challenge you to do it with a pen and paper away from your desk in a different place than you normally sit. Okay? Go into a fresh space, fresh air, all of the things, and just sit with a fresh piece of paper and a pen and think of all of the things that you've been able to accomplish, that you've been able to do, and that you have strength inside. And I want you to affirm yourself in those. I am an amazing mother. I know some days that I have, oh, here comes emotion. I know that so many days I have imposter syndrome, that my house doesn't look like their house, or my kids aren't accomplishing the things that their kids are accomplishing. But I am a good mother. I am a good wife. Y'all, if you don't know my husband, you would tell me the same thing. I am a good wife. I love Joe. I love Joe. He's fabulous. I am a good team leader. And I hope that if my team members are here, they would say the same thing, right? But sitting down and recognizing the good things that we have done in our life, things that we've accomplished. Not everybody's going to say that I went to college and got a degree. Now, I know not everybody's going to say that they got a master's degree or a doctorate. Not everybody's going to say that they have a certification in XYZ. Not everybody's going to say that I've achieved $5,000 a month in my business. But you can say, I showed up for myself and I started this business. I showed up for myself and I'm learning how to start this business. You have to identify those things that you have done, that you have accomplished, and that you are good at, because nobody else compares to you. Identify your strengths. Identify those accomplishments that you've made. I want you to take time and reflect. And I challenge you to even journal it out. And journaling doesn't mean writing a novel. It just means writing it down, right? What do those look like? Identify your strengths. But when you're done with that list, don't throw it away. Put it somewhere that you can revisit, because I promise you, these thoughts of doubt and fear and feeling like you're an imposter are going to sneak up over and over and over again in the various environments that we are inside of, not just our business, but in our life. And revisiting those things and revisiting those things that we've identified as our strengths and our accomplishments can help fuel the positivity, okay, so that we can then reframe the negativity. Surprise! Second one. Reframe your negativity. Now, there's a variety of ways that you can do this, right? So let's kind of talk through that. Personal example. So this past Saturday, My daughter, she's in 3rd grade. She went to a competition. She'd never done this competition before. It was a storytelling competition where she had to listen to a story, and then she had to go in front of a panel of judges and retell the story in a dramatic way. Okay, she'd been practicing with her team for months. She stayed after school once a week to do that, and they worked really, really hard. Long story short, she didn't place inside of the competition, and that broke her heart, right? And as a mom, it was hard for me to see her upset and in tears that she didn't get to that 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place. And even those thoughts of imposter syndrome and statements that she was making were so negative. And in that moment, I said, we don't negative self-talk. Let's talk about the positives and reframing the negativity. Did you work hard? Yes. Okay. Did you do your best? Yes. Did you have fun? Yes. Then what you did today was a success. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to always claim 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place. But if you are working hard and doing your best and having fun, girlfriend, high five. And it was so cool for me to see. Now, it did take some time as a mom, okay, to walk through this with her. But it was so cool to see how helping her reframe that negativity changed her outlook on how she talked about the event later on. Because she called Grammy to talk to Grammy about it. She talked to Daddy about it when we got home, like all of these different people. But the way that she talked about it was positive. Did she talk about, and I didn't place, but it wasn't what we focused on. It wasn't the purpose of why we went. It was why we went, to do good, to try our best, and to have fun. Reframe your negativity. Don't self-negative talk. Ways that you can do this, okay? Practice gratitude every day. Look for opportunities to be grateful for what you have in your life, okay? I had a practice once. I had a friend, Katie Day, bought me a paper planner, and it was such a cool experience. I've even kind of tried to keep going, although I'm not great at systems, believe it or not, okay? Reoccurring systems. But she gave me this paper planner, and it had a month, right? A month view. So there's just little squares. So every day I would wake up and I would write one thing that I was grateful for that morning. Practicing gratitude can switch our mindset from negative to positive. Practice that gratitude. Make that a regular part of your life, whether it's first thing in the morning or at the dinner table with your family, or in quiet moments. Practice gratitude. The next thing is to challenge those negative truths, or those take that back, Rachel. Reel that back in. Let's try that again. Challenge those thoughts with the truth. I am a terrible mother. I am a failure. My house is a mess. I can't keep the dishes clean. The laundry is piled up and my kids are a disaster, right? Like, those are all negative thoughts that can quickly brew and spiral into more negative thoughts. Challenge those negative thoughts with truth. I am a good mother. I make amazing meals that make lots of dirty dishes. Right? Reframe the negativity with truth. If you have to, we've talked about this exercise before, like writing down what you're telling yourself, and then right next to it, write what's actually true. Okay? And sometimes you're going to find consistencies, right? I am not a ClickUp expert. That may be true. You may not be a ClickUp expert, but what is true? You're trying to learn ClickUp. You're learning new things about ClickUp. I'm not picking on ClickUp today. It came up an example. So that's what I'm using it as. Reframe the negativity. Challenge those negative thoughts with the truth. Look for the silver lining. Here's an example. Okay? I didn't get that job that I wanted. Okay, I went after that job offer. I put in a killer proposal. I followed proposals that win inside of Savvy System. I did all of the things and I didn't get the gig. It can be real easy to allow those imposter syndrome feelings to sneak in and compare yourself and get negative and all of the things. But let's reframe the negativity and let's look for the silver lining. What is a positive thing about that? You don't know what you don't know. There's a reason why you didn't get that job. You don't know all of the circumstances and reasons on why you didn't get that position. And it probably is for the better that you didn't get that position at this particular time. And sometimes we don't know that in the moment. Sometimes we have to let time pass and we have to look retrospectively back and see, oh, thank goodness I didn't get that job with this person because this job came along and I am thriving in this role. There are always opportunities for the no. There are always opportunities for the no inside of that no. Sometimes not getting that job off just means there's something better right along the way. Or, you know what? You did do everything that you learned inside of Proposals That Win, inside of Savvy System. You did write an amazing proposal. You put together value first that knocked everything out of the park. Now you know how to do it next time. So the next time you come to that job op, that new job op, you know how to do that. There's always a silver lining inside of the negative. Look for those opportunities to reframe that. And again, we've already talked about this. Practice self-compassion. Practice self-compassion. Give yourself compliments. Remind yourself of those strengths and those accomplishments that you have and that you've done. Now, y'all are being quiet in the comments. Are you still with me? Tell me you're here in the comments because I don't see a lot of comments coming through. It always makes me nervous. So let me know that you're still here with me. All right. So I want you to tell me what is a great way for you to reframe that negativity. Okay, good. Y'all are still here. Okay, good. Just making sure y'all are still with me. It was real quiet in the comments. Okay. Oh, Chachi says we're ugly crying. Okay, well, let's not go to that extreme. Y'all practice some self-compassion. Practice some self-compassion. All right. So I'm gonna spit these 4 out at you that I went through, and I want you to tell me what is the practice that you can take inside of reframing your negativity. Practicing gratitude, challenging the negative, silver lining, or self-compassion. Let me repeat those again. Practicing gratitude, challenging the negative, looking for that silver lining, or self-compassion. What is the one that you need to take? What is the one that you need to start practicing yesterday? Mine is going to be practicing gratitude. Like I said, I had a really good system in place and it was so helpful, but I need to get back into that and continue to practice gratitude. Practicing gratitude and self-compassion. Awesome. Gratitude for sure. Love it. Challenging the negative is confidence fuel. Mic drop, Kayla. Yes, absolutely. Challenging negative thoughts with the truth. I want you to take one thing out of that reframing your negativity and own it and claim it as a practice that you can move forward with. All right. So we've talked about 2. I've got 1 more. All right. First one, identify your strengths. Take some time, take a paper and pen, walk away from your normal routine, go somewhere different, and I want you to consider and think about all of the things that you are good at and that you've accomplished and make a list. Save that list. If you want to take it one step further, make it a digital list where you save it in your ClickUp, right? Or your Trello, or your Asana, or your Google Drive, or make it your background, okay, whatever. I want you to identify those strengths, those accomplishments. And then we just finished walking through reframing your negativity. Take those negative comments and switch it around so it's positive. All right, number 3. Number 3, seek support for you. This one is so absolutely important. I asked you a question, right, very early on in our live today of how many of you have experienced imposter syndrome. And I told you, y'all better say me. And if you don't say me, then you're a liar. Okay? So you are not alone in these feelings, in these doubts, in these fears. They're real. They're common. We all experience them. Okay? And that gives us something to link arms with. Don't walk through this particular area of your life alone. Being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, being a virtual assistant, being an expert XYZ, it can be very, very lonely, but it doesn't have to be. Find the support for you. And it can look in a variety of ways, right? We have some amazing communities available. We have our free Virtual Assistant Savvies Facebook group. Team, can you drop that link in the comment for that Facebook group for those of you that may be watching on YouTube and don't know about it? It's a free community. We have over 100,000 virtual assistants and business owners inside of this group. We have a team of 20 amazing moderators that keeps it a safe place to interact and to encourage and to celebrate each other. Okay, look for places like that. Or maybe you're inside of one of our products, whether it be Savvy System or Savvy Vault or even Savvy Circle. Okay, we have places for you to connect with people who are just like you, walking through this business building journey, and you don't have to go alone. Maybe it's outside of the virtual Savvy. Okay, there are so many amazing resources and communities and places to interact with people who know you and understand what you are walking through. Okay, and I know depending on our personalities, sometimes that's going to be easy for some, and sometimes it's not going to be easy for others. But I want you to find it's real important. That's why I put you in all caps. Because your support system is going to look different than mine, who's going to look different than Jennifer's, who's going to look different than Karis's or Kayla's or Chachi's or Katie's. You have to find the support system that is best for you and that's catered for you. Whether it be a Facebook group, whether it be a local group where you get together with other business owners and chat. Maybe it's a little bit more small and intimate. Maybe it is a bestie. Or maybe you have just an amazing supportive family. Not all of us do, I get that. All right, maybe you have an amazing supportive spouse, partner, extended family, whatever that looks like, and that's your support. That's who you go to. I encourage you to find the best support system for you. And don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed to share what you're working through and what you're walking through. My heart is so warmed when y'all tell me in the comments, right? I get it. I've been through it. I understand. Here's where I struggle. Here's where I can get better. Okay, you allowing yourself to be vulnerable and admit where you're struggling, okay, is just the first step in helping you take that next step, whatever that is going to be. Don't be ashamed or afraid to share or afraid to speak out to get the support that you need. You are not alone, and you don't have to be alone. Find the community who understands and who can support you exactly where you are. Another part of this is you want to make sure that whatever community, whatever support system you put in place for yourself, is that you are surrounded with positivity. There's enough negativity that we're going to interface and we're going to come up against. We don't have to go look for that. Am I right? The negativity is real. The negativity is going to come up. The negativity is going to put us on our backside, kick us in the face, all of the things. But what we do need to be intentional about surrounding ourselves with is positivity. Positivity with a team member, positivity with a coworker, positivity with a friend, positivity inside of our Savvies group. If you've interacted in our Savvies group for long enough, you know that we don't mess around with rude and inappropriate comments, right? We don't have time or space for that. We're encouraging each other and we are helping each other and we are being compassionate towards each other. Always surround yourself with positivity. Chachi says it takes just as much energy to deal with the negativity than it does to embrace positivity. 100%. So good. All right, so let's recap for just a quick minute, shall we? Okay, we talked about what does imposter syndrome mean. It's those feelings of self-doubt. It's those feelings of negativity, of not feeling adequate. Maybe there's even fear attached to that. Okay, and what can cause that? It can be possibly our upbringing, possibly our personality, but really it can be because of the environment that we're in, okay, the people that we interact with, the comparison that often sneaks in. We don't always have control over when it comes up or those scenarios in which it does come up, but we can be aware for ourselves of when it's most liable to come up. Okay, follow me. So we've talked about the definition, we've talked about the causes, and then we talked about 3 ways to fight against imposter syndrome. Identify your strengths, reframe your negativity, and seek support for yourself. I would love to hear in the comments, we're going to get ready for some Q&A here in a hot second, but I would love to hear in the comments what was most helpful for you today. What are you walking away from today's live with? Is it with an understanding of imposter syndrome? Is it with a particular way to combat against imposter syndrome? Is it owning and claiming that you're an expert in fill in the blank? I would love to know what was most helpful for you today. It helps not only myself for future live plannings, it also helps our team, and it helps you to affirm that you took the space today to hang out with us and learn something and take something away from our live today. While you're telling me those in the comments, let's take some time for some Q&A. I would love to answer any questions that you might have from today's conversation, or if you have something about business virtual assistants specifically, we can touch on those as well. I've got a little bit of time that we can hang out and ask and answer some questions. What was most helpful for you? Gratitude and reframing is the #1 way to handle most negativity, especially imposter syndrome. Finding your strength is like discovering your superpower. When you know your superpower, then you can operate at full strength. So good. Don't let that imposter syndrome hold you back from being everything that you were made to be. Paulette says, all of the above. It's awesome. That I am not the only one who suffers from imposter syndrome, and with support, it can be combated 100%. And I'm also going to say this, you do have what's within you to be able to fight against it. You just have to know when it comes up and what are those strategies that work best for you. But you are not alone. Reminders to acknowledge your strengths, celebrate our wins, and practice gratitude. You are so very welcome. Owning and claiming my truth, the affirmations, gratitude, seriously, everything. These lives are awesome, and we love being here for y'all. Like, we absolutely want you to be empowered to change not only just your life, but your lives in your family and in generations to come. So we absolutely love being here and encouraging you and challenging you and aspiring you to whatever is next inside of your journey. And what I love too about these lives is sometimes they're real specific toward virtual assistants and being an online business owner, but sometimes they actually can apply to all areas of our life. And I love that as well. Confidence building, keeping in mind to avoid those negative feelings and thinking about the things that have been accomplished. Awesome. Oh, so good. Y'all, thank you for joining me today. I have time to hang out. I don't see any questions yet. So if you have questions, drop them in the comments. I want to give a quick shout out to the team for supporting me in the comments. Thank you for being here. Thank you for dropping links. Thank you for all of the encouragement, all of the things. Y'all are the best. Don't we have an amazing team at the Virtual Savvy? Like, legit. We just have an amazing team. All right, I won't just linger. So y'all have a great rest of your day. Remember to reframe that negativity. Look for the positive, look for the places of gratitude, look for places to give yourself compassion, and have a great rest of your day. You are an expert. You're amazing at what you do, and you have unique gifts and talents and abilities that need to be shared with the world. So go share them. We'll talk later. Bye, guys.